Welcome to another edition of Progressive Retail. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. We've got another great show planned for you, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Can you sell cars online, and what does that look like in 2017? Well, I've invited one of the hottest companies in the market, Roadster. Their CMO is here, and we're going to find out. Stay tuned. I'm really excited to introduce my next guest today. We're talking about this offline, online kind of process, and one of the companies making a lot of headway is a company called Roadster. As you can imagine, they're in Silicon Valley, and I've got their CMO, Michelle Denogean, joining me today. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, Cory. How are you today? Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, as you know, there seems to be several dealers out there touting that they're delivering vehicles from start to finish, this online process, this revolution. My question is, based on some of the things that you guys are doing at Roadster, how do you define online buying or the online buying process for a customer?
Sure. So actually at Roadster, I think define it a little differently than a lot of people think about it in the industry, because we look at things from the end-to-end car buying experience and the customer's view. And we know that, while the number of people that are buying 100% online are growing every day, there's still quite a few people out there that want to buy in the traditional sense, come in store at some point in the transaction. So we look at online buying not in the traditional sense of e-commerce, but as commerce from online to in-store, and really think about having an omnichannel solution where people can buy online or start online and come in store and finish the transaction there, or start the transaction in store and then finish it at home. It's a little different. A lot of the solutions that dealers are implementing today are a plugin. It's really focused on adding a buy online button to the website and
Right.
sort of channeling in a small percentage of the customers that are going to do that now.
Everybody wants to put the car in the shopping cart.
Right.
Right. I think I read recently a group in Canada just launched. I think they're using like Shopify's platform to then allow people to buy cars. So this is a little different. I think a lot of people get confused in that particular area. Now, I mean, are you finding with the data that you're analyzing, which is thousands of transactions across the country, I mean, are people really committing? I mean, and I've seen this technology, shopping carts, and people have been talking about that since we started doing workshops in 2005. When we started doing e-commerce workshops, I had companies along the way come and speak and talk about the concept of it. But are people really committing to go all the way online, so to speak? I like that, how that came out. Are people committing to go all the way, or are they kind of is it still price shopping or comparison and then completing? What are you seeing? What's the data telling us?
Sure. Well, it's definitely not just a price check, right? I mean, you have a percentage of people today, and it's growing, but today it's about 10 to 20%. That are going to go all the way through the process, 100% online, never set foot in a dealership, want the car delivered to their door. But you have the other 80% that really, want it to be much more convenient and efficient. And so they're looking for pieces of that process, almost all of them, both in the studies that we've done and also looking at behavioral data, want to automate some portion of that process during the transaction to make it a lot faster and easier. So whether that's I want to secure my financing, completely configure my deal, or I want to do my credit check, or I want to, add service and protection plans or accessories. People are wanting to do that, and to be honest, at different levels depending on the person. That's why having an omni-channel solution is so vital at this point in time, because people are sort of jumping in and out and doing pieces of it depending on their comfort level, and then coming in store and finishing it, or coming in store for a component, then going home and finishing it there.
Well, it's interesting because I've been having this debate, with friends in this conversation. People always talk about the internet killing the retail business or killing brick and mortar. And I always challenge that, because every time I go into a store and I have a bad experience, I always lament that it's not that's killing. It's not the fact that I just want stuff delivered to my door. It's that the brick and mortar experience is the problem. I go into Dick's Sporting Goods. Every Dick's Sporting Goods I've ever been in my entire life, no one has ever spoken to me. So I don't know if I just don't look athletic. I don't look like I don't really play squash or tennis or canoe or whatever area I'm in Dick's. No one ever talks to me. And then they go, well, why are we Dick's down 20% or whatever. We're getting killed by Amazon. People don't want to come in and buy their goods anymore. No, it's the experience. So with all this talk about customer experience and online delivering that, let's say, people being enticed by that idea, what are some of the elements? What should dealers be picking up from online customer experience to integrate? You talk about omnichannel, I'll say integration, to integrate the offline idea of the customer experience with the online.
Right. Well, and you were giving a bunch of examples, but there's a reason why Amazon and Whole Foods are now dabbling in the offline world. And I think you're 100% right. It's really about people wanting it to be much more efficient and having that experience not be about the transaction. It's much more about the questions they have and the experience of the product than it is about some of the transaction elements that may take a little longer. So in answer to your question of like what pieces, my initial reaction is all of them, right? Because you want to be able to offer somebody the ability to do what they can do at home in your store, right, if they choose. And that's the important part, is if they choose. But what I think is interesting is one of the most significant findings we had really early on in automotive was that as we were getting our system, our platform up and running so that consumers could self-service themselves, we realized we were aggregating all of the data and putting it on a platform in ways that a lot of the salespeople didn't have access to before. So right out the gate, as a tool for the salesperson to actually use and access all of this data and information themselves, instead of having to run to the back office for information like incentives and rebates or financing terms, or even introducing some of the service and protection plans. All of that now is at the fingertips of anybody that you interact with at the dealership. So that's definitely one way, and probably the biggest drive we've had is that we want to empower everybody in the dealership with these tools, not just the customer. But there's other ways too. I think the most significant thing we've seen in dealership has been the ability, instead of having somebody walk out the door if they're not ready to buy today, the ability to share a deal sheet with them as they're leaving for the car that they were looking at, so that they can finish that transaction at home. But guess what? Something else happens when you share that deal sheet. You can also follow up with them and see if they have questions, go through it, with them, whether it's over the phone or text. So there's a lot of interactive elements that can be used. I mean, we have some of our dealerships are using these, 6-foot touch screens, and others have big, tech rooms with lots of iPads so that the customer can be enabled. But it really works on any platform, even if it's on your phone or your desktop that you swivel around. The point is that we're empowering the salespeople in order to help that customer and interact with them in this new online way. They can do the same thing with phone ups, as an example, right? Somebody calls in, they can send them a deal sheet for a car they have available on the lot, and they can start to co-create that deal and walk through everything in real time. So it's powerful to use as a tool.
Right. Okay. So hold it there for a second. So now I want to say a dealer says, "Oh, do I? What does it really take to commit to this?" And I'm talking about the idea of the online buying process, regardless of what product they choose to use. But what is a dealer? What do you see as a commitment that a dealer needs to make if they really want to implement an online shopping experience that goes beyond here's my VDP and give me your information in a lead form? What is a committed, somebody who's on the fence, or they're thinking about it, or they've read about it, they're watching this show? What's the commitment needed? What should the mindset be for a dealer considering implementing something like this so that it's successful?
Sure. I mean, I think first and foremost, it's about transparency. So you have to be willing to put, a good price out there. It doesn't mean you are one price, but a good price that people know that you're going to honor. That's probably the table stakes of it, as well as be willing to put some of your information online, like your financing terms and your service and protection plans, because what people are looking for in an online buying environment is to be able to have all of that data at their fingertips so that they can configure their own deal, right? So that's probably the first one. The other one is time. It really takes time for somebody to get up and running, just because you've got a lot of training in place, you've got a lot of old habits, from a process perspective, and so you want to make sure that you're willing to give it the time and the attention from your entire leadership team in order to really drive it through. We have some dealer partners who have built this into their daily or weekly huddles where they talk about it. They, give attaboys to people that are getting amazing reviews from customers coming through the platform, and they really build it in as a talking point. Okay. And then you've got, people like our joint friend Brian Benstock, who says, "Believe or be leaving," right? That's the level of commitment that a lot of
believe or be leaving. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
He just said that the other day, and I just picked up on it because it really takes that tenacity, that drive from the leadership team to say, this is how we're doing things now, and you need to really adapt to this new, or adapt to this new process.
All right, so you've got out your magic crystal ball, right? So if you looked into your crystal ball, the CMO crystal ball, tell me, what do you think? What predictions would you make for our viewers and our audience for things we should expect to see over the next 18 months, 24 months in automotive retail?
Sure. Well, nobody has a full crystal ball, but
don't sell yourself so short. I've got a buzzer. I've got a buzzer though here in case somebody said something ridiculous. I hit the buzzer. But go ahead.
So, up front, I think that we're going to see more and more, automotive retailers focused on efficiency and how they can use technology to make their stores more efficient. Whether that's, commerce technology or their, dealer management system, they're just going to be looking for more and more ways to do that, because quite frankly, the consumer demands that process get faster. So that, I think, is definitely happening. I think Omnichannel is around for quite a while. We'll see the growth of people buying 100% online, but there's still going to be a lot of people that are coming in store. So thinking through that, from online to in-store component, I think is going to be a key, as well as transparency and convenience as, milestones within that. And then there's been a lot of talk lately. I heard it at NADA, and we've heard it from some of our dealer partners around, how do we get some of these younger people to, work at our dealership? How do we attract them? And I think what we'll see is that they'll start to flock to the industry when technology is at play. You'll get the, Apple Genius Bar reps and those that are buying their coffee on their Starbucks app interested when really, they're managing the technology and needing those types of skills. So those are a couple of them. And the only other one I think that comes to mind is I think we really have an opportunity as an industry to expand geographic footprints as dealerships and dealer groups when everything is really online. So, you have the ability to sell cars online, you have the ability to, deliver cars to wherever somebody is. And so I think we're going to see some of those boundaries move as, we get to have this type of online buying capability be a little bit more permeated throughout the industry.
Well, the good news is this is all recorded for air, so I'll be able to revisit with you shortly and see if all of that came to fruition. I want to thank you for participating. Have a lot of respect for you guys and your company, because I know that you guys put yourself in the car business for a good several years, perfecting the product and actually seeing the process work with customers. I think you guys are selling a couple hundred cars a month out in San Francisco yourself, or something along those lines, right?
Correct. Yeah, we really got our roots in doing this, ourselves, and that's, I think, what has made our platform so successful. Is we've skinned our knees and bumped our elbows trying to sell cars directly, and it's difficult, to do. And we have a lot of respect for the industry, and now we're building tools to help support, the existing distribution network. So we're very happy to be in the industry today.
Well, thank you so much for joining the show, Michelle. Thank you for your insights. I think it's been immensely valuable to our dealers and viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cory. Have a good one.
You too. Well, that's our show for today. I want to thank Michelle from Roadster for providing some insight into online transactions. As always, you can find out more information about how we're helping dealers become more profitable and progressive by visiting our website at mosleyautomotive.com. This has been another edition of Progressive Retail, exclusively on the CBT Automotive Network. I'm Cory Mosley, and I'll see you next week.